Are you feeling like you had it? You felt like you knew who you were. You felt connected with purpose. And then it just slipped away. You lost its grip. Maybe you even felt integrated. You felt connected between your soul and your ego. And that's giving you the sense of peace and calmness and certainty about what you're doing. But then maybe one day you woke up, or maybe after a couple days, you feel you lost it. And you feel you don't really know anymore. Well, I want to say to you that it's a absolutely normal thing to happen. It's an absolutely normal thing to happen. It happens to everybody. It happens to me. I help people, I guide people and coach individuals towards rebuilding themselves from identity loss, rediscovering who they are, rebuilding purpose, and then living an ego soul integrated lifestyle. But I get derailed sometimes too. Absolutely. Now the question is, why do we get derailed? What causes the misalignment? What breaks it? And then how do we get back to it? Well, the first thing to know is, we have an external focus. So if you're at your desk and you're working, you have tasks, you give yourself a focus. I'm going to focus here, then I'm going to focus there. The very same thing that allows you to zoom in on something, really micromanage the details, concentrate, and then exit, and then put it somewhere else. Put that attention somewhere else. You have the same exact mechanism, but internally. There's an internal focus that happens. We can affect it, we can learn to work with it, but we cannot fully control it. And so, for the sake of argument, we're going to, let's say, break our internal into two pieces. So we have the upper realm, the ego realm, the conscious realm, and then you have the lower realm where the soul is, your heart lives. And often what happens when we're working towards an integration and we are tackling things within our shadow, we present them to our conscious awareness, we go through hard times. And what happens, the internal focus, if you're anything like me, which is naturally more, I'm extroverted, but I tend to like to inhabit the realm of my inner world and my mind. I like exploring it. And I like people watching and sitting and reflecting. That's more my style. So if you're like that, this is going to really resonate with you, where my internal focus tends to inhabit this realm if I do nothing about it. But as we go through the integration process, you can notice the internal focus start to shift from the upstairs region. It slowly works its way down into the soul, where when you start to feel in touch with the soul, everything starts to make sense to you again, where you start to feel you have a direction in life, you feel connected to something bigger than you, and because of all this insight you're getting, you feel calm, relaxed, sure of what's going on. But then as you're going down, you're going to hit the sweet spot, where I call integration. I actually have a drawing for it. I've shown it in the last few videos, but it's something that really makes a difference visually, anyway, for me. So if you look at it, so we have the integration point, right? So you have the past, the present, and you have the future, and you have the intersection point, the sweet spot between the future and your shadow, and staying in that razor's edge, which is going to give you that sense and that feeling of enlightenment, that feeling of peace, that everything you've been chasing was for the gain of the persona of the performer, and you were able to let go of old pains that were holding on to you for so long, and you're making all these grounds. But what happens is just life happens. We get busy. We have kids that we got to raise. We have maybe some unpleasant coworkers or an unpleasant boss. Whatever the case is, something eventually derails it, and you have to essentially go back up to the realm of ego, where you need to challenge things, to take care of things. Perhaps you want to take more breaks, go on trips. Something is causing you to slowly shift that inner focus upstairs. And when you go into the upstairs region, what happens? We have more anxiety, more stress, more worry of the future. We get imprisoned by old stories again. We get disconnected. We split off. And then we start to get frustrated as to what is happening. I really wished I stayed in that sweet spot. And something to really know, you can't stay in that sweet spot forever. You can stay in it for a while, you can practice to stay in it, but to be in it for the rest of your life is not going to happen. It's just, life doesn't allow that. But what you can do is bring yourself back to center again. Now you have two options. You can let it run its course. You can let it run its course while also having the intention to bring it back to center. And you could take a more passive style and allow your inner focus to slowly shift back, as life tends to balance itself this way. As long as you have the intention to do so and not furthering your ego's ambition and your shadow's ambition. If you start pushing towards those realms too much, then eventually you'll just inhabit the ego and you'll start to get stuck for longer periods. But if you have the intention of centering, over time you'll feel that compass moving back down to center, enough to where you can catch it and then snowball it from there. Or you can make it more intentional. And the way you do that is you have to really sit and reflect on what were you like, what were you doing, what were you thinking and feeling when you were in that integration point. What was it like? And you want to be vivid about it. You want to really be detailed. You can write it down. You can just sit and think about it. You can put it on a whiteboard, whatever works for you. But by having that reminder, by having that intention, it can allow yourself to slowly, manually shift it back down to where you need to go. You can't really speed it up too much. Sometimes it has a mind of its own, but you can absolutely do it. You just have to remind yourself, what were you like at that point? Now, of course, this is a conversation for those that have touched that state of integration. For those that haven't, I have other videos you can dive into where you can begin your process. But for those that have already touched it and you feel frustrated about it being derailed, this video is really just a reminder to tell you it's okay. It's part of the process. It happens. It hasn't gone away. It's just lost its focus. So regain it, remind yourself where you were before when you're in that integration point, and then slowly, day by day, work towards it. 1% every day, micro to macro. It's the small changes that add up to big changes. And don't beat yourself up about it. And I also do the same for myself. I have to remind myself not to get upset, because I know when we're in that place, it feels beautiful and wonderful. We want to stay there forever. So when we lose it, it feels like genuine loss. But it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just sort of taken a detour, and it needs to almost do its own thing before it comes back to you. If this resonated and you want to work a little bit deeper on integration, on identity loss, you can click that button below and you can book a call with me one-on-one. I finally opened up my calendar to all of you, which absolutely excites me to the core. And so click that button, you can look at my calendar, pick a date and time, that way we can meet personally and I can help you through your identity loss and integration journey. Or if you're someone that just wants to have space held for you, I am more than happy to do so. Or you can sign up to my newsletter, where I'll send you monthly strategies, tips, guides, archetypes, shadow work, everything related to identity loss and rebuilding purpose back into your life, rediscovering who you truly are, and then moving towards an ego soul integrated lifestyle. Thank you very much, and I will see you on the next video.